Hello, welcome to my diary. I'm Tatami, and we talk about whatever I want to. And today I want to talk about the fact that, like, how Elizabeth Warren want me to do something for her that she's not willing to do for me. She wants us to do something for her that she's not willing to do for other women. A few months ago, if you've been following politics, you know that Elizabeth Warren accused Bernie Sanders of saying something sexist in private. It was one sentence, and the sentence was, I don't believe a woman can be president here in the United States. Now, keep in mind, he asked her to run for president 2 years ago, heavily encouraged her to run for president because he believed she could win. He's also heavily endorsed Hillary Clinton. And he's been saying women should try to be president and that they can be president and they should be president pretty steadily since the 80s. She wasn't able to offer us any further information about the conversation. From the way she tells it, you would think Elizabeth was sitting in a room all by herself in a study, and then Bernie burst in, like opened the door, looked in, and was like, a woman can't be president, and then closed the door and like ran out. That's like basically, that's the context that she's given for this story. Other people have tried to be like, do you mean he was like, hey, with the climate, the way things are, I'm starting to realize people just don't seem to be willing to vote for these things even when they go in their interests. Sorry, my husband sent the kids back to get me for a chop. Smoking a chop, you know how I am. Potheads unite. So basically, we asked Elizabeth Warren a few questions like, can you clarify something? And basically, she was like, no. Either you believe this happened or it didn't. Either you trust me that Bernie said this or you don't. I personally believe he said something that left a sour taste in her mouth. I don't doubt that. Men I love do that to me all the time. Leave a sour taste in my mouth, what have you. Sometimes I get laid on bitter truths, and there's absolutely a part of me that believes, not only because I've witnessed men not believe that women should be president, but because I've seen a lot of indoctrinated, beaten down, ready to fight for the patriarchy type of women who I believe firmly would not vote for other women. You know, women have, we're kind of raised in this culture to be a little bit catty with each other, to see each other as competition, to get a bit bitter when we see others doing well. It sucks. It's kind of an impulse you have to start fighting when you realize that it's being ingrained into you from a very early age. But it's very real. So I do think if Bernie was saying something about that, he was pretty correct. And I do think that it would be a hard pill to swallow. So perhaps the situation did happen. But I'm curious what she wanted us to do about it, because we're about to move forward in this story. So then a little bit after that, Elizabeth Warren called out Bloomberg, right? Bloomberg tried to run for president. He wasted a shit ton of money not doing anything really, just spending money on ads, uselessly buying his way onto the debate stage, useless this, useless that, waste of money. Could have used that to help out a shit ton of Americans. Whereas Bloomberg, now that COVID's hit and people are hungry and don't know how rent's gonna be paid, where do these politicians go? Where does their money go? They don't ever donate like that. So he didn't donate like that, but she called him out because he had some, what were those? They're like non-disclosure agreements for some pretty crazy stuff. And like he had like somebody accusing him of basically telling her to abort her child, which is like, y'all, like nothing pisses me off more than people who want to tell you what the fuck to do with your womb. People who want to tell you to keep it, people who want to tell you to get rid of it, people who just want to give their goddamn 2 cents, but you know damn well these people, they're not going to be there for you when you're in the abortion room. They're not going to be with you when you're in the birth room. These people do not show up for jack shit, but they always have something to say about what you're doing with your womb, don't they? they always got something to say. So I believe firmly that he said it. When Elizabeth Warren tried to lay it on serious on this man on MSNBC, that old man was crazy. First off, I'm glad he ended up getting kind of fired or let go gently after this altercation with Elizabeth Warren, because before that, he was saying a bunch of crazy ass shit. He was comparing Bernie Sanders winning a state in the primaries to a Nazi invasion on France. Like, Bernie Sanders isn't an old Jew. Like, what are you talking about? Just shut up. This man needed to be taken off air. They needed to take him off air. However, it's just feels really hypocritical, because it's like Elizabeth Warren was out here snapping her fingers. Why shouldn't I believe her? Why would she make that up? What does she have to get? Why would she make that up? And it's the same thing with sexual assault. Honey, you gain nothing. Nothing. When people know that you've been sexually assaulted. I will tell you, that's literally half my channel, isn't it? Me talking about the book that got published this past January, my book about my life as a child, me talking about transracial adoption. It was my adoptive father who did this shit to me when I was a child. You know what I'm saying? Why would you make stuff up? You don't have anything to gain by making up these assaults. There's just really not much you can gain, because people out here want to hurt you. You go down in social standing the second someone finds out that you've been violated. That's man or woman. You go down in social standing. So, yeah, Elizabeth Warren said that about that lady, but then here we are, 3 months later, and Elizabeth Warren is riding dick for Biden. And she's like, basically saying she don't believe Tara Reade. And poor Tara, she did fall for the okie doke of Elizabeth Warren. Poor Tara voted for Elizabeth Warren, and then had to hear the woman that she went out of her way to put write on a piece of paper for and go put it in a ballot for. This woman say that she don't believe her, that she believes Joe Biden's character, and why would Joe Biden lie? Basically, all this shit got turned right back around on her, and I'm wondering here right now, what did Elizabeth Warren want from us 3 months ago? What did she want? Did she just want to be able to, like, weaponize these movements? Because I've noticed these white women are getting real comfortable weaponizing these movements. They ran in, co-opted, and stole the Me Too movement from black women, from underprivileged women, trans women, men, some people who are historically, notoriously underprivileged, indigenous women, all of us who notoriously, the second we say we've been raped, the second we say we've been sexually assaulted, someone tries to do the mental gymnastics to blame it on us. It doesn't matter how young we are, how innocent we seem, how hurt we've been, how much of a fighter we appear to be. It doesn't matter nothing. It doesn't matter nothing. We're always seen as the Jezebel. We're always questioned. Why were you there? What was going on? All this stuff occurs, and people automatically see us as like a hoe who was trying to get some, and so that's why it ended up happening to us, or what have you. You know what I'm saying? When you are a person of color, or a certain other types of underprivileged people such as trans women, automatically levels of innocence and are just stripped from you. They're stripped from you. You don't have it. You don't have it anymore. So they came in, these celebrities who this was not for, they convinced everybody we're kind of oppressed too, because no one, we have to hide in the shadows of these big men and blah, blah, blah. They took the movement, and when they were done with it, they've thrown it away and spat on it. They've used it up for what it was worth, and then they're done with it. Same with Elizabeth Warren, Alyssa Milano. I don't even know the rest of these people who all went on Times magazine like they had anything to do with the Me Too movement. Like they put in any effort into helping any of these underprivileged type of people. And we've had to watch them take these movements. We've been watching them take all these movements that are just absolutely feminist, working from the ground up, from black women up. Because a lot of this white feminism, we're seeing this happen between Tara and Elizabeth, and it's interesting. It's interesting to see it happen between two white women, but it's something we're very familiar with as black women, as black feminists, as black womanists, as people who have been fighting for black women at the very bottom of the food chain. We're like, I've seen this before, though. I've seen this before, where they want you to come out and be fighting so hard for them, but the second you ask for even an ounce of that flavor back. Elizabeth Warren, all Tara Reade asked for Elizabeth Warren from was just a little bit of acknowledgement to not do that shit to her, to not try and tear down her character, to not imply her character was less than Biden's, to not imply she was a liar, to not imply that she was somebody who would just do all this for clout. That's what she asked for. That's what she asked from us 2 months ago, 3 months ago, for herself, for this woman who did this shit with Bloomberg, who had worked with him and was abused by Bloomberg. She asked for that for those people, for the people with the non-disclosure agreements, and for herself. And we were supposed to give it freely. I gave it freely to the Bloomberg people, but Elizabeth Warren, I was very curious because I was already starting to suspect a lot about her. I was always very curious about what she was going to be doing. I already had a lot of feelings about her. It makes me, I'm happy that Bernie did not decide to endorse her as a vice president, because I don't think she'd make that great of a vice president. I don't think she's that great of a person. I think she's very wishy-washy, and we saw that when she's out here asking people to put their faith in her word, even if that word contradicts everything that she's ever known, right? Everything we've ever known. But then she's like, "What? I know everything about Biden. I know everything about Biden." She got mad as hell at us about Bernie. "Oh, you guys just believe Bernie, blah, blah, blah." And we're like, well, I mean, the evidence is just, there's no evidence. There's evidence in the other direction. There's not really any evidence to yours. And further, I'm not even sure really what you're saying happened. And then she wants us to fucking defy the face of all the evidence for Tara Reade. I'm just like, y'all, I don't understand. She wanted us to just take her on her word. The non-disclosure agreement said everything, right? You don't have people sign non-disclosure agreements unless, you have something you're trying to hide. So Bloomberg kind of dug himself in a pit there. But now we're seeing Elizabeth Warren's kind of in a pit because she decided she was going to go rogue. And she decided first off, she decided she was going rogue because she decided not to really help with any progressives. With the progressive movement, if only she had decided to back Bernie, if only she had decided, all these other things. It's wild to me. It's wild to me that all the moves she's been pulling over the last few months, for her to wrap up this first quarter of the year with just calling a woman survivor, basically, that she thinks she's lying and that she stands with the man in this situation, even though there's so much more evidence in this situation than she ever presented against Bernie. I'm just like, girl, what you wanted me to do? What did you want me to do 4 months ago? But see, that's why you don't hang out with these, when white feminists are asking you to go out of your way. I would suggest even other white feminists, be wary, honey. Be wary, because she's likely just using your energy, using your time, using what you have so that she can get her own personal gain. That's just what I feel. They do it time and time again. We've been seeing it since the beginning of feminism, and it's just really nothing new. It does not shock me, but it's just, I wish I could look her in the eye and ask her what you wanted me to do. What you wanted me to do a few months ago. And then now look at how you're acting for other people who are asking for even less. You wanted me to ditch my whole presidential candidate. All Tara asked was for you to believe her and not go on and shit talk her and say you believed the man just off the bat, even though there wasn't really a real investigation yet. She asked for a lot less than you did. You could not give it to her. It's sad as hell watching these politicians do this, watching these celebrities, these people in the public sphere use these movements that are meant to help abuse survivors, assault survivors, using those for their own personal gain, and then they just toss it to the side. It's like a lot of these people do with the black community. Use it for their personal gain, toss it to the side. Oh, and don't forget, always give the proverbial spit. They always have to talk some shit and make you look real stupid for trusting them. They always spit on you. You weren't worth anything. You weren't worth anything this whole time. What I always had was better. My way was always better anyway. They never say thank you, do they? At any rate, I was never a fan of Elizabeth Warren. There's nothing to say goodbye to. It was just, this video was just to talk through my thoughts on this whole thing. It really bothers me when people act like activists and then run movements, not into the ground totally. I don't think Me Too's in the ground. I think people are being real dramatic. First off, they're conflating Time's Up with Me Too. I made a video about that. They are not the same thing. but there is a lot of discrediting going on towards Me Too, and I'm sure the organization is being affected. You know, there's the highs and the lows in the public sphere, and it's sad watching women participate in the lows and dragging it ever lower. It really is. All right, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. May your ancestors and spirit guides be with you at every crossroads.